So today we are on CodingBat and we are doing zeroFront. So we want to return an array that contains the exact same numbers as the given array, but rearranged so that all the zeros are grouped at the start of the array. So you'll see here that we have non-zero numbers and they're essentially grouped off towards the right while all the other zeros are sort of grouped off to the left. So what we'll do here is first I think I'd want to increase the font. And let's see, yeah, that's fine. So we'll open up with, we'll essentially open up with a for loop here. And the idea here is to essentially recognize that what our strategy is. So our strategy would of course be to return a new array. So actually let's get that array going here. And the length of this array will be essentially, if you analyze what you have as the array that you're given and what you're supposed to produce, you'll see that we're just arranging the numbers. We're not, in that sense, excluding any of the numbers. We're just rearranging them. So the length of this array will essentially be the length of the original array, which is nums. Now, the idea here is to recognize that when we have this new array of nums.length, if the array was, let's say, 4 elements, the new array is 4 elements. Or if nums.length, or if nums had 2 elements and nums.length was 2, in which case it would be 2, new array would be 2 elements. So new array, let's suppose it's 3. You have to recognize that these elements, or these boxes, which are sort of referenced by the index, these have default values of 0 to begin with. So we want to actually leverage that. So if we had, let's say, a 1 and a 3 here, the goal would really be to iterate through the array, and if essentially a non-zero number was sensed, so okay, so this is the new array, and then what we will do is we will have a well, this is okay, so this is actually nums, right? And we want to create a new array, and it would be creating a new array of the same length. And in that array, let's just call this new array, and in that array, if we create an array of length 3, these have default values of 0. So essentially we want to iterate through the first array, and if we have a non-zero number at any given position, then we want to take that element from that position and put it in the last position of the new array. So it would be something like this. So we would iterate through the array, and then if nums of I does not in fact equal 0, then we'll take that element and put it, and we'll populate the new array starting from the right, as opposed traditionally, as it's done traditionally, from the left. So we're just taking the elements if it's not equal to 0 and populating new array starting from the right. So what we can do here is we can say, okay, well, new array, well, we can say, look, if nums of I does not in fact equal to 0, then we know that we want to start populating new array, and we want to set it equal to whatever that I was. Now, what we want to put in here is we want some means by which we can essentially start populating the new array from the left, or from the right rather, as opposed from the left. So we can actually just say, okay, well, int index, and this is going to keep track of the index for the new array, is equal to nums.length minus 1. So we're actually taking our index and we're starting from the last element in the array, because you'll know that nums.length minus 1 is essentially just the last, it resolves to the last index, because here, whether it be nums.length or whether it be the nums array or the new array, both arrays, their length 3, and 3 minus 1 resolves to 2, so we're starting at the second index, which is actually referencing the last element. So we're going to start populating the new array from the last element, and each and every time we're just going to gradually decrement by 0. So here I'm going to start at the last element, and each and every time I do this here, I'm going to decrement index each and every time. Each and every time the number is not equal to 0, that is. And so after it's all said and done, I'll just try and return new array, and of course I should get a favorable outcome.